Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and today we have a ton of things to discuss about this new Dragon Ball Daima trailer. Now, here's a quick warning for those of you who haven't seen this trailer yet. This trailer is very different from the ones that we've seen previously because of the fact that the official Dragon Ball website has produced information and gives details about things that we will see in this trailer. So if you haven't gone to the Dragon Ball website, you're going to be a chicken without a head because the external information explains things, and once you go to the website, which we will discuss in this video, everything will make sense afterwards. So I've uploaded this video to YouTube 5 times and I keep getting hit with copyright claims, so I can't share the trailer, guys. Go watch it and come back to watch this video and breakdown. So let's begin with 2 official images that are exclusive to the official Dragon Ball website. And this first image that we have right here is an image of Goku riding on a dragon with the Supreme Kai. Now, as a post on it, I made an observation about the dragon that Goku was riding, and that it bears a strong resemblance to the artwork that was seen in Dragon Ball Z Volume 22. And of course, by Dragon Ball Z Volume 22, we're talking about Viz separating the Dragon Ball manga between Ball and Z, because of course the original Dragon Ball manga was all the Dragon Ball manga, but for those who are familiar with the Viz volumes, this would be Volume 22. And as you can clearly see, Goten is riding a dragon in a similar fashion. As you can see, the Supreme Kai is looking at something, and in the background we see 2 interesting characters. The first one is this character with slotted eyes who has a very Toriyama-esque design, and this character is the masked Majin, and this character specifically is supposed to be the character that is created to help overthrow and gain power in the demon world. And in the background we can see this character piloting a ship. This character is known as Glorio. And at the bottom right here we can see original work by Akira Toriyama, and we can also see that the show is going to be released in October of 2024, just a few months from now. Now, one thing that can easily get overlooked is the 3 backgrounds in this first image. And if we look at the first one, started from the bottom, now we're here, this image has a Rocky-like background, and from what we've seen in previous Daima trailers, this directly matches the area that Goku was shown when he was fighting against all of those demon minions. Now, when we move up to the second layer, we can see a planet of the Kais, or a King Kai-esque planet to the left, and we can also see a Namek-like background, and the water is green, and it looks like there's another planet within the planet. This is probably Namek or some other alien planet that's going to be featured in this. It's possible that on the way to the demon world that Goku and the Supreme Kai make 2 stops in 2 different locations, and this is a place that's going to be along the way. Now, when we eventually end up at the top, this is the demon world, because this directly matches what we saw in the first trailer of Dragon Ball Daima with that reddish background and the demonic layer that is the main area where the villain resides. Now, we have another image here where we can take a look at the 7 featured characters in Dragon Ball Daima. So we have the character all the way to the left who's referred to as Gomah. So this is supposedly the new demon king that people want to overthrow and fight for power. Then we have the masked Majin right next to him. There is an additional character that was not shown on the website, but it's been leaked, that there's a character by the name of Panzy. Shout out to Geekdom 101 for reporting on this. Don't get confused, guys. Panzy is not Panchi, whose name was changed to Bikini, and Panchi is Bulma's mother, the wife of Dr. Briefs, but for whatever reason in the game Kakarot, they changed her name to Bikini, which you couldn't have been more obvious with a name pun than Bikini. I mean, Jesus. At least Bulma can kind of get away with it, or Bulla instead of Bra if you want to go with that. That can kind of be a bit tricky, but just going all the way and calling her Bikini, very similar to how Bulma's sister is called Tights. I mean, Jesus. At least try to alter it a little bit, you know? And then we have Glorio. I'm 99% sure that the majority of you who were seeing him for the first time immediately associated him with Mira from Dragon Ball Xenoverse, along with Toa. And considering the fact that these are demons, it would make sense for Glorio to be associated with all of this. Now, I don't do this very often, but so many of you were saying this in the comment section that I had to take the original video down and add this extra section in. So, a lot of you guys are saying that the masked Majin is supposedly Panzy, and you're saying this based off of the fact that the clothes are identical, and when you also compare the major height difference between Glorio and Panzy, also combining that with the masked fighter, this is almost a foregone conclusion. And while we don't have a confirmation of this directly, I will tilt my hat to the internet and say saying that this makes a lot of sense, because if Panzy is confirmed in a leak to be one of the main characters that will be assisting Goku in the Supreme Kai, and there's a mysterious masked fighter next to Glorio, then this actually makes sense that it would actually be her. So credit to you, internet. But what we have to understand is that Panzy and Glorio were the two exclusive new characters that are supposedly joining Goku and the Supreme Kai on this adventure. Now, one thing that we have to point out about Panzy is that she carries a sword, as you can see in this image here, and in contrast to Panzy, Glorio uses a gun. And of course, to the right of Glorio, we have Goku, the Supreme Kai, Vegeta, and Piccolo. Now, just a quick note here. I kind of find it interesting that Kid Piccolo looks like adult Piccolo, but the weird thing about it is that there actually is a Kid Piccolo if you go back to the original Dragon Ball. This was more so featured in the anime adaptation, in all of the anime exclusive episodes leading up to the 23rd tournament, and Piccolo looks nothing like that version of Piccolo here. He just looks like a shorter version of the adult Piccolo. Now, I immediately noticed that Vegeta is taller than Goku in this image, and it would actually make sense because Vegeta's older than Goku, so if you go back in time and shrink them back to a kid's age, then Vegeta would be taller than Goku, which would make sense because we see Goten and Trunks turn into babies. So young people get really young and adults become kids. It's all relative in a way. But the weird thing about all of this is that Piccolo's barely older than Gohan, so that's another conversation for another day. We're going to mention Gohan later on. Now, as a post-edit, I realized a fun way to overanalyze something here, and that's dealing with Master Roshi, because Master Roshi is centuries years old, so if Master Roshi gets a lot younger, shouldn't he go from really old to just old? Just a little food for thought. And after making the last post edit about Master Roshi, I just realized, well, what would that mean about the Supreme Kai, who's millions of years old? Even more food for thought. Which now leaves a question as to what are Vegeta and Piccolo gonna do? Now, Vegeta was shown multiple times in the original Dragon Ball Daima trailer, and Vegeta is a fan favorite character, so for him to be completely absent wouldn't make a lot of sense for keeping fan interest, and Piccolo was shown on Kami's Lookout, where he usually is anyways, even though Piccolo has his own house in Dragon Ball Super Hero, but that doesn't matter because this is Dragon Ball Daima and we don't even know the exact time period that Dragon Ball Daima takes place relative to Dragon Ball Super. And the funny thing about Piccolo is that he was supposed to originally be a demon, being the son of the Demon King Piccolo, so it'd be interesting if he had some influence in this. Now, the weird thing about Glorio in this trailer is that we saw this brief scene where Goku has a standoff against him, but Glorio is the pilot that's transporting them to the demon world, so it's possible that at some point Glorio might change, or they might have a brief altercation or something, because Goku definitely seems like he's getting ready to actually fight against Glorio in this specific scene. Now, as far as the masked Majin is concerned, I mean, obviously we don't see his face, but I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not really digging this specific design, and to be completely honest with you, considering the fact that Deborah was the former king of the demon world, it would have been a lot better if we had more mature OG designs. That's just some OG talk right there. But Dragon Ball definitely has a liking for making odd-looking characters appear more powerful or less powerful than they actually are. Two key examples would be Monaka from the Universe 6 tournament, and of course Zeno, with his football head-esque design, is the most powerful character in the Dragon Ball universe. And let's not even talk about Fat Buu, for crying out loud. So in typical Dragon Ball fashion, don't judge a character by how they look. Now, one thing that Dragon Ball Daima seems to be taking cues from is the original Dragon Ball, with Goku obviously using the power pole Niobe. And the thing about this is that it seems like this show is going to be focused strictly more on martial arts itself and more grounded combat, as opposed to the formulaic style of Dragon Ball that we've loved for years, where Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and Dragon Ball GT all basically follow the same formula as these super fast, powerful characters that can fly at the speed of light, beating the living hell out of each other, and we enjoy that. But to go back to more of a ground-based style of fighting definitely is a refreshing look at Dragon Ball, even if you don't particularly like that style. Now, we also have a quick scene here where we see two machines from the Capsule Corp working on something. Now, this might be linked to what we saw in the first Dragon Ball Daima trailer, where we see Bulma using a flashlight very, very briefly, and this might be the machine that Bulma was looking into, and the robots might just be on the exterior of this. And last but not least, guys, it appears that that we have a Makaioshin-esque character that appears with Gomah. Now, this character appears to have a mohawk, which is a design that is commonly shown amongst Supreme Kais or Supreme Kais in training, and we see another brief shot of this where this character appears to be with Gomah zoomed out. Now, as opposed to it, even if you go back to the original Dragon Ball Daima trailer and look very carefully in the background, this character has always been there, but for whatever reason in all of these trailers, they'd never want to reveal his face, which means that he probably has far more value than we take it for. Now, as we said before in a previous video, we have the Makai world, and a Makaioshin directly translates to an evil Kaioshin, which might be a concept that Dragon Ball is really putting into Dragon Ball Daima, as Demigro wasn't officially called a Makaioshin, but from what has been described of the Makaioshin, he definitely checks all the boxes. But that leaves us with a good question. Where the hell is Gohan? Because he wasn't in any of the Dragon Ball Daima trailers, and it might be one of those classic moments where Gohan is just absent. This has happened multiple times. In Dragon Ball Super Broly, Gohan just disappears. And for many arcs in Dragon Ball, Gohan's just away doing Gohan things. Maybe he's there, maybe there's some reason why he's not being mentioned or shown, or maybe he actually has more involvement in the series that we don't know. But for now, that's all I gotta say, so until next time, stay cool and stay safe, my friends.